What's up, geeks and gamers? My name is Draymond, and welcome to Thorium Gaming. So, we get to start our third series today with the successful conclusion of Light of the Azure, which was so much fun. Except for we didn't get to bring all of our awesome generals along with us because, well, some of you guys died along the way, bravely, honorably, nobly. It was kind of a long stretch. But now we're going into the Mortal Empires version of things. A much larger world with a whole bunch of extra factions to fight. A whole brand new scheme of everything that we can do. Now, I did make the choice. It wasn't really a big surprise for anyone who's been watching the last few episodes. We're going to go with Bretonnia because I love Arturic Legend. I love the way the Bretonians play. They're my army on the tabletop. They're glorious. They're beautiful. I love them. And the entire mythos around the Lady of the Lake is awesome. So, in this, we have three choices. Now, before I get into the choices themselves, I should preface this with, just like Arturic Legend, it's all about the Lady of the Lake. Now, there's some stuff with the Wood Elves that kind of comes into play, which I hope to explain as we go along. But everything revolves around the Lady of the Lake. Now, gifted children that have magical powers, they're given over to the damsels and prophetesses. And we will be doing that for every time we have that choice in the campaign because it's what the Bretonians do. They go off with the enchantresses and everything, and the male children are never seen again. We don't know what happens to them. But sometimes the female children will come back as additional damsels and prophetesses. Now, I know there's a lot of really strong women that are part of the community, and I will never downplay you ladies because, well, you scare me. In this, you're going to be wearing nothing but a dress and riding on unicorns. Now that may sound a little bit weak, but you have to remember in this particular case, those that are blessed by the lady are the most powerful people in the realm. Prophetess and damsels actually outrank the knights in a lot of senses. That doesn't really sound right. Senses? In a lot of cases, I should say. So don't take it as a negative at all. Because the damsels and prophetesses are incredibly powerful. They get access to the lore of heavens, the lore of beasts, and I believe the lore of life. And those are three of the most powerful magic winds within the Warhammer universe. Especially beasts, if it's used right, and since the Bretonians are a cavalry-based army, well, they have a lot of cavalry. So beasts helps cavalry. It kind of makes sense. So please don't hate me for that, but that's the way we're going to work it out. So the three choices we have for our legendary lords are the Fey Enchantress, who is basically the living avatar of the Lady of the Lake. She's the most powerful keeper of the faith, magical in nature, and really plays on the blessing of the lady and how it works out. Now the Morgiana, Fey Enchantress, she is awesome on the tabletop. I have a thing about the Knightly Lords. So, since I'm going to be being the leader of the faction, sorry, she's great. We're going to confederate with her at some point, which is actually a longer process for Bretonians. But, not our legendary lord. Not right now, anyway. So,
Protector of the realm.
Albric of Bordleau. Bordleau is one of the provinces, I guess you could call it. It's one of the dukedoms within Bretonnia. I'm really surprised they picked Bordleau instead of Baston. Baston would have been my favorite choice because it's the line of Gilles Le Breton, the equivalent of Arthur in this. Albric's awesome, but he's really tough to sort out. And all things considered, the blue and the yellow and all the gold trim, it's nice, but not what we're going for. It doesn't really remind me of the classical Bretonians. Instead,
Champion of the lady.
we're going with Luin Leoncoeur, High King of Bretonnia, Duke of, I believe it's Couronne? Yes, Couronne. And they're a warrior creed. Each one of them is awesome. And it's the king's army. And he starts with all the knightly vows unlocked that are campaign movement. Good aura size when he's attacking. And Chivalry, which is our new mechanic. It's kind of like the Azure influence. As we get more Chivalry, you can see the Green Knight on the mini screen right there, we get to summon him. That's Gilles Le Breton reincarnated, or at least that's the theory. We don't really know. He's the sacred protector of all Bretonia. So we can summon him, we end up getting more benefits like public order, better income, that sort of stuff. And the Blessing of the Lady, it gives all of our guys a little bit better armor and saves. Resistances versus melee and magical attacks. It's a ward save overall. On the tabletop, it saved your knights a lot. In this, it reduces the damage that they take by a fair amount, and his army always has it. And since the Bretonians are all about chivalry and questing and getting out there on horseback with their lances, our generals are not going to stay idle, at least not for very long. And we won't be in our cities a lot, so it won't be as much of a defensive campaign as the Light of the Azure series was. But given that, let's start the campaign, and I will take on the role of Lewin Liancourt, and we'll see how Bretonia treats us. I would read it out quickly, but I don't really have the opportunity to. It loads too fast.
Greetings to you, benevolent Royak. Blessed is your rule over Bretonia. Yet darkness spreads from abroad and threatens your kingdom. The threat is real. It must be faced. To the east, the greedy merchant princes of Marienburg conspire to consolidate their riches. Observe that much wealth flows into Marienburg, but very little emerges. Further south, in the Grey Mountains, greenskins and dwarfs vie for control of the peaks. Whoever wins may yet cause trouble for you, my lord. Beyond, the wood elves in their mysterious forest protect their homes. Whilst at the coast, the Duke of Bordello is as unpredictable as the roiling sea, and as secretive as the watery depths. Elsewhere, the unliving lords of Mousillon wage war against mortal men. The bickering dukedoms ignore the looming threat, and so it falls to you to act, my liege. Only a united Bretonia can face these growing perils. Raise your banner, King Liancourt, and drive this evil from the world in the Lady's blessed name.
Alright, so there's a couple other things that we have to get into here.
My lord, the Dukes of Bretonia have resided under a chivalrous code for many years. Honor this tradition, build upon the great foundations of Gilles Le Breton, and lead the knightly orders forward to glory.
Alright, now that he's all done doing that. So, there's an additional little gambit here. Peasant economy. Our peasants cannot fight for us and work the land at the same time. And if anyone is familiar with the Bretonians, or not, I'm going to go over it quickly. Peasants are not well looked upon in Bretonia. It's feudalism in arguably its most delicate form. Peasants are very weak. They're the only archers we have and field trebuchets. But even the best of them, the recently introduced for this game, squires on foot. It's not what they're actually called, but they wield great weapons. Even they are not the greatest infantry in the world. Now, battle pilgrims and grail reliquaries are incredibly powerful, but they're still peasants. It's all about our knights. Knights errant, knights of the realm, questing knights, grail knights, Pegasus knights. You're kind of getting the theme that's going on here. So, knights are what we're going to do, and what we're going to deal with. Now, we have Marienburg to the east.
Absolutely not.
It's technically an empire nation, however, it's not ruled by the empire. The empire itself in Altdorf is right in this area here. So eventually we're going to have to make contact with them and call it good. Now we control Couronne and Languin. They are our starting cities. Lyonesse to the south, Mousillon, Artois. So the big thing to start off with is our tree is significantly different to the Elven tree, as you can obviously see. The chivalric code gives our lords a lot of leadership and armor, and some chivalry. Pretty much all of these will give us a little bit of chivalry as we research them. Now, all of these heraldries are required for us to unify peacefully with the other Bretonnian nations. The decrees, on the other hand, they give us bonuses against certain enemies, and every time we beat that enemy, we gain chivalry for it. The ultimate goal of the Bretonnians is to max out their chivalry and fight the final errantry war. That is our overriding goal. To do that, however, we do have to beat back the forces of chaos. Archaon the Everchosen. It's going to be fun. But to start off with, we're going to go with economic investment. It opens up a lot more options for us. And when we get to things like the improved water pumps, each one of our regions can sustain an extra peasant unit. Peasants are not good individually, but as a group, you can kind of overwhelm people. So we're going to start off with that. Now, diplomacy is a big thing. Start of the game, we can't really do much. So Alahard, or Adalhard of Lyonesse, is friendly enough with us. Most of the time, it's not going to matter. We're going to open up some peaceful diplomatic relations with him, but odds are he's going to get wiped out by the Undead pretty quick here. Now, Chivalry is defensive, meaning he's not going to expand, which means we can safely rely on him to keep treaties. The Fey Enchantress is the same way, so we'll see if we can get a non-aggressive pact with her. And Bordelot. He's an underdog, which is incredibly good for us. He's more likely to confederate when we get up to that point. Now, that is not all of the Bretonnian realms. We have Baston, Paravon, Montfort, I should say, and then there's a bunch of other smaller places in land. Bretonnia stretches basically from this coast down here, along these mountains, to the edge of the Great Wood, Athelloren, and then back up along the mountain range, all the way up to us here in the north. Now, like all of our other campaigns, first thing we're going to do is get those buildings up. And we're going to... we cannot increase our income first. First things first is we need our stables. Foot squires. They were foot squires. I was right. Anyway, so getting these stables is a big thing because we are going to be dealing with a lot of knightly units. Now, for myself right now, we have some spearmen at arms without shields, which not great, and 2 units of archers, but we have 2 units of knights of the realm. They're good against large enemies, a couple units of Pegasus knights, and a couple of field trebuchets. It's not bad overall. We're going to add another couple units of spearmen and another unit of archers. Now you notice this little warning icon down at the bottom. We have 7 out of 10 already. If we try to go over 10, it will hurt our economy. But we do start off with 1 hero. So for this, we're going to go, and I'm going to use the titles for the first name. Lady for the damsels, Dame for the prophetesses, Sir and Lord for the paladins, and then the lordly characters. And you know what? Scroll down the list a little bit here. Let's go with Brian. If I could spell without being fat-fingered. Now, Marienburg does pose a threat. That's non-negotiable. But at the same time, we can't leave the undead to completely corrupt this area. The undead are hard to beat regardless of what you do. So we gotta worry about them. Now we're losing public order in Couronne. And I've played the Bretonnians so much, I do know a little bit about what's coming up. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with Venerate the Lady. Untainted and a little bit more control. There's going to be a big reason for that shortly. So let's pass it over to the other nations. See what they do. Now you guys are going to notice this list is larger by far than the one in the Light of the Azure campaign. Quite literally, there are dozens of different factions, several for each one of the armies. Marienburg's going to retreat, which is good. So many dwarves, the other Bretonnian realms, border princes, orcs and goblins, beastmen, vampires. Like I said, there is a ton of additional realms that we never got to see in the other campaign. Alright, so your people live in fear, for evil stalks the land of Bretonnia. The greenskins that infest the mountains and forests harass and raid the surrounding villages with ever greater violence. Now they mass in the hills. The people fear a great incursion. Control is decreasing across the land as a result. Hold out if you think the kingdom's robust enough, in the hope that they tire and scale back to their hideouts, or lead a force to destroy their settlements and end their attacks and wipe them out for good. So this gives us greenskin incursions for 20 turns. Now there's two ways we can handle this. We can sit back and deal with the negative control aspects that are going to come out of it, because if we go to the -20 control all provinces, or we can go out and occupy or raise a greenskin settlement to counteract it. We might try to do that, because we do have Grungzint right there. It's a minor settlement, but that's fine. Now that we've kind of got that there, we're going to encamp Lewin and send Lady Ryan
Making my way.
down towards Musalon.
Lady leads me.
And we have encountered Baston, which is my favorite Bretonnian realm.
Armored in faith. Welcome, friends.
Duke Bohemond
So
is
we can come
my
to an
favorite.
accommodation.
And he's an underdog too, so it should be easy to confederate with him when we go down that path.
Honor before glory.
Now, just like in the other campaign, only the realms that we've made contact with are going to appear on our diplomacy menu. And given that where we are in the world, it could be a while before we see things like Kislev. Oh, wow, Musalon is not going after Lyonesse. That is a little different. I haven't actually seen that before. Now you notice the undead units are taking attrition right now because they're in an area without vampiric corruption. And for us, we've completed our stables, which only gives us yeomen and yeomen archers. Basically the best and brightest at the bottom of the barrel, as far as our nation is concerned.
What would you have of me?
Now Lady Ryan is going to sit here because every turn she spends within Musalon, she's reducing the vampiric corruption, if only slightly. As we go along, she's going to be increasing that.
Welcome to fair
Now,
Bretonnia.
Alahard, are you going to sign a defensive
You
pact?
insult me.
No, you will not.
Armored in faith. Welcome
Now,
to
Duke
fair
Bohemond.
Bretonnia. Impossible.
The start of this is going to be a
Welcome to
lot of
fair
diplomacy.
Bretonnia.
Those who displease greetings. Who seeks my wise counsel? Anon.
And can we get military access?
Are these
No.
times. Dark, my
Now, Albrecht.
Friends, let's hope we come.
I am the child.
Alright. For the first little bit here, just like with Light of the Azure, it's going to be a lot of turns of building up and getting prepped. Now, I'm worried about Marienburg because they're pretty tough, and I don't think we can hire any paladins yet. We require a livery, which I believe is the second rank of that. So one turn, we can upgrade to a livery, get Knights Errant, and we can start recruiting paladins. I wonder if Musalon's going to actually push that attack. If they actually devastated Bordeaux right now, it would be convenient for us and incredibly inconvenient at the same time. But they're not going to. They're going to retreat, having lost some of their undead to attrition.
The lion.
Alright, so we are still losing a fair bit of control. We're only gaining 513 gold per turn. Now, without a smithy, which is one of our buildings in here, can't really do much. And of course, we need to get a Grail Shrine. There is a hidden benefit to having a Grail Shrine as the Bretonnians. If your hero spends time sitting idle in a city, half the time they will basically walk away with a negative trait, because again, Bretonnians are all about being chivalrous and crusading. Ooh, Marienburg's actually got some significantly larger forces than I was hoping for. But with a Grail Chapel,
They breathe their last.
Ooh, good job, Ryan. Let's go in and get you another point of Cleanse Corruption. After that, we'll make you a specialist again. What traits did you actually get off the start? Aggressive, so that totally fits with Ryan. For all of us that know her, yeah, she's awesome. She's pleasant and sweet and nice, and please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. But she is also a Damsel of the Heavens. So if we go into her skills, Harmonic Convergence, pretty decent. It's a nice augment. But Uranus Thunderbolt, and Comet of Cassandora, and Chain Lightning. Yeah, Heavens is a nasty little wind. So we'll see how that works out. Let's advance the turn and see what the other nations do. Hopefully Marienburg isn't planning on trying to raid Couronne. That would be a little unfortunate for us. So let's just take a quick peek at what Marienburg's doing.
I will not obey.
8 units, crossbows, spearmen. We have to actually attack the settlement, not just the armies. And if you look at that, that's 7 units, 18, and the garrison here, we can't assault it right now without losing a significant amount of our force, even though we have some really good knights and a lot of troops. So we're going to wander back towards Couronne just a little bit. Let's get a pottery wheel, because, of course, your resources only appear at the places that they can actually appear at. And Languine, your fields and your farming technology are what give you access to your archers, in this case, fire bowmen and pox bowmen. But to do that, we're going to need to upgrade Languine, and that means we need to wait 4 turns to get another population surplus, and then 3,200 gold, so that we can get a mill. Because a lot of the buildings for the Bretonnians interact. So we'll just sit back and see what the other nations do. Now, on our next turn, we'll do a little bit of diplomacy to see if we can get the other Bretonnian nations, well, the dukedoms, on our side. We are the nation. They're just dukes holding territory for us, for now. And there the Red Duke goes to try and pull some stuff in Lyonesse. Alright, so we got economic investment, discovered the Red Duke. Let's see if Ryan can cause some more problems for the Red Duke.
I have seen your heart.
She blocked his army, which is great. Now we're going to get you a point to specialist, extra success chance, and a cost reduction, which is always going to be good. Haven't moved up here yet, but let's go into our diplomacy first and see what we can do. Now, we can't get a defensive alliance with them, which is fine. Let's see if we can get military access for Baston.
Dark are these times. I am Morgiana, Fey Enchantress of Breton. Those who displease me do not
And the
live
other
together.
nation, or the dukedoms, are not being very nice to us right now.
I must protest.
Alright, so that takes care of all that.
King Lewin Leon.
Now we have 16 more turns, so if we do 11 by 16, we're definitely going to have a greenskin assault on us, even with the control and untainted. So we're going to wait here, and we're going to fight off the greenskins that come up.
I shall do what I can.
So this is where it leads into for the Bretonians. Improved tools would give us better income from farms, so every one of our peasant nation settlements will be able to give us a little bit more. Now here's the trade-off. You can go with a manufacturing system that completely steps away from the peasant economy, or you can go full bore into the peasant economy and play it out. Thing is, you need both in the end, and where you go from there is a little bit different. But we're going to grab the chivalric code right now. Paladins and lords are basically the apex of all Bretonian units on the battle map. And we'll pass it over to the other nations. Are those the orcs of Grungsint that use the underway? Oh, wow, they're near Castle Artois. I did not notice that. So we may end up dealing with greenskins sooner rather than later. Well, looks... Oh, they have gone down near Languille. We'll see if Lyonesse can hold out against Mousillon. Alright.
You'll be hest. Their end
So
is
Lady
nigh.
Ryan,
What would you have of me?
you are just on fire right now. I'm going to make you a little bit better of a specialist. We're going to pull up stakes on this army group and get down close to our little port city. Languille is not only a port giving us access to a lot of resources, though we can't actually upgrade it to a full fishing port. We can only ever go to a fishing harbor. But it's also where most of our food is coming from right now. So there's that. And we'll have to go with a pottery maker because while it's going to hurt us financially for now, it's going to help us out later on. And eventually we're going to have to try and hire a lord or a lady to go out and pick up a few things in the water. Start of this is proving to be a little bit rocky. Never know what's going to happen. But we'll see what these orcs do. Because if they don't get lost, we may have to just go down and deal with them. And Lyonesse has been destroyed. They're not using the underway. Are they going after Castle Artois? Oh, they're just running away. That's a little different. But with Lyonesse taken over, it does give us a strategic option. Now, just to go back into our technology for a quick second here. They're the first one on the road to Baston and Sarsassone. So, the Fey Enchantress and then Albrecht. You have to research them in order, and then there's the Unification of Bretonia. So, that's essentially just 10 chivalry. That's all you get for researching it at this point. Well, we'll get it for researching it at this point. However, with the undead there, having done their thing...
Footsteps of the lady. Destroy it.
Okay, so Ryan did not succeed on that one. However, she did level up.
Fortune favors you.
And we have to be careful. There's a lot of vampiric corruption in Lyonesse, because they had the unfortunate situation of being right next to the vampires. Mousillon. It's actually a pretty tragic story. Landuin, one of the Grail companions of Gilles, that was his realm, and he was basically their
To
Lancelot.
victory!
Only didn't go after Arthur's wife. He was the most loyal and dedicated of all the knightly companions, and then he got killed in his bed by assassins. And the Red Duke was a Bretonnian lord at one point, and disappeared into the forest after a big event with a false grail. It didn't end well. And suffice to say, right now, they're bad. The Undead are bad. We're going to have to cleanse them. I think that's going to be our first campaign on this map, is to rid Bretonnia of this scourge. And then unite the rest of the nations. After that, I think we're going to push south. Though that does involve us getting into a fight with some very familiar frenemies right here. This is the capital of a Skaven nation. This is Skavenblight. Yeah. So there is that. Now we also can see a couple of elven nations. You guys might remember these from the other campaign. Of course, Shrace and Kothik. But I doubt that they're going to want to play nice with us. Because they're elves. But we might be able to... You know what, I'll take a trade agreement, even though we know that they can now spy on us because of it.
Make your case quickly before my arrows find you.
Now, why would I let them spy on us for just a trade agreement? Because that's the High Elf special ability. Well, it's going to increase our reputation with them and bring us some cash in the long run. I mean, it's improving. It's not going to do a whole lot for us, but it'll keep them from coming and landing on Bretonnian shores and causing us a lot more pain than we need. But let's just let the other nations go and see what they're up to. Albrecht, are you going to push from Muslin? I could see Albrecht doing that, but I'm hoping that we can confederate with him easily enough. After we get the chivalric code, we're going to go for Artois, and if we can get them to confederate peacefully, we'll move down that left-hand side and see what we can do. Now the orcs are back.
I feel the lady's anger at your presence, vampire. Say what you will, but be quick.
Yeah, no. You're the Red Duke. You're an evil, undead, blood-drinking bastard who is not worthy of the lady's light or love. We're not accepting that. We will not accept that blight on the lady's realm.
King Lewin.
So we're going to bounce back down towards Languille to make sure those orcs don't get any funny ideas. Now, is there anything we can do with Artois?
The lady grants you safe passage.
A defensive alliance would be great. Can we squeeze military access in? No, we can't. That's fine.
The lady grants
Baston?
you safe passage. I am no churl.
No evildoer. Greetings.
It's kind of going through and just
Seeks my wise counsel.
gambling on whether or not they'll accept. Now, Albrecht is the one that we have to worry about.
Now is the time to use, as you say.
And getting that trade agreement will definitely help. It'll improve our relations with them even more. Artois is pretty much the first on the list because we have to confederate with them eventually. They actually hold some pretty lively areas. Center of Bretonnia. While it's not as cool as Baston, which is right here, we do want to eventually take it all. Peacefully, if we can. So let the other nations go. Like I said, it's like a typical campaign is going to be slow to start. And yes, I know, I keep forgetting that Ryan's got movement points. I get distracted and... yeah, it's not good. I admit it. Notice the Undead, vampire counts, and the Tomb King's icons popping up all over the place. Ooh, are we going to get... ooh, he's not going to come in and fight. He's raiding us, though. So, we might end this first episode on a very high note. Alright, so following a great feast with much revelry, there's a glut of leftovers. The peasants grumble about hunger and starving, but aren't they always? So what to do with the surplus then? We can either give the leftovers to the merchants. Merchants and craftsmen in a city are hard workers and deserve this small token of gratitude. Or to the peasants. Will they stop their ceaseless complaining if we feed them this once? I suppose we can find out. So we either get more income from trade, or more growth. We're actually going to go with the growth. And we have an imminent incursion in Corone, which is more greenskins.
I am the blood of Gilles.
Now, the initial charge that's going to come at us is just a small greenskin army.
You seek the lady's
What
favor.
is in this army? Oops. I don't want to... With that, we got a bunch of orc boys, a doomdiver catapult, but we have Pegasus Knights to take care of that. They've got 12 units, we've got 15, and we have some knights and Pegasus Knights. However, I wonder if...
I serve the lady.
By the light of the lady.
Is it close
I am
enough?
gifted.
If we put
My lady.
Lady Ryan into Luan Leon Kerr's army,
Champion of the lady. King Luan.
there we go. And we're definitely going to fight this one. End this first episode on a high note. And get to show you guys what the Bretonnians look like on the field. So they have a lot of orc boys, which are better than our infantry, but we have cavalry. They've got goblins, which are cannon fodder. And they have a doomdiver, which is probably the most impractical war machine in this entire game. But it still does damage. We're going to gamble on 8, though. Oh, I'm so glad we did. Alright, so let's start our deployment. Now, unlike the High Elves that can deal with the forests and everything a little bit better, Bretonnians like open fields, because most of our stuff is cavalry. In this case, however, we have a lot of infantry up front. So what we're going to do is group our spearmen together, position them like so. Now, their leadership is terrible, so I am going to sit right in the middle of the army. Preferably not inside one of the peasant units if I can avoid it. There we go. And Lady Ryan, we're going to get you to pop over here so we can use your spells to best advantage. Now our field trebuchets we'll put up here. Pretty incredible little models. I really like how they've done them. And if you look at the peasants, they definitely look like they're less than deficient. Their uniforms are all patched and barely holding together. But if we look at our knights, yeah, that is the cool part. Bunch of different heraldries from all the different realms. They really dug into the book. You're going to see duplicates, of course, with all army units. But the sheer amount of different shields, helmets, combinations. Bretonnians are just a riot of colors on the battlefield, and I love it. So we're going to set up our Knights of the Realm over here, and we're going to put them in to the Lance formation, which is a Bretonnian special formation. Makes them hit harder, move faster, and generally be more awesome, at the cost of not being able to slow down as efficiently. We'll set our bowmen up behind. Now, our Pegasus Knights, which again we'll zoom in on here just really quick to show you how awesome the Bretonnian models are. It's got to be awkward to fly one of these things in full plate. Anyway, they are Vanguard deployment and are pretty mobile, so we're going to let them do their thing. Now, where is their Doomdiver catapult? I cannot see it just yet. Oh, that was wrong. We need to stop them. Fire at will. I wanted our Pegasus Knights, not our trebuchets. Pegasus Knights will move forward. And we'll bring our Knights of the Realm over here to get them a little bit better of a charge range. There's the Doomdivers. So we'll have a little bit of an artillery duel with them.
My gifts are yours.
And just to make sure their artillery is covered, let's move our infantry up, our archers behind them, and the best case scenario is that I can get into the fight myself. Alright, it looks like we're getting ready for the crunch. So let's send our Knights of the Realm in. Goblins and Orc Boys. So we'll split our Pegasus Knights up. We're going to accept the charge from these guys because we have reinforcements coming in from the flank. And we're going to get you to throw some harmonic convergence on our spearmen.
Feel true power!
Pegasus Knights tend to get hurt pretty easily.
Immediately! Brave knights! To victory! Pegasus knights! For the king! Loaded and ready! Target!
We'll let our trebuchets do their thing. And that's why Doom Divers are impractical. They launch a goblin with a spiky helmet. Now, our infantry isn't doing too well in the center, but our knights are probably holding their own. Well, they are slightly losing.
Spare man at arms!
So let's pull our knights out and get them set up for another charge.
Full deals! King Luan Leoker! The lady wills it!
I serve the lady! Grant me your wisdom!
Battle ready! Noble knights! At once! For Britannia!
Alright, now that you guys are out of the fight, we're going to get you set up for another charge. Those goblins are going to have a really bad day in a second here.
Show us the foe! Knights of the realm! Pegasus knights! Break them! Knights of Britannia!
As I've stated, though, the Bretonnian infantry is pretty weak.
Spearmen at arms!
We got a classic leader duel going on here.
King of Bretonia!
You require magic? Come unto me!
A lot to focus on. That's the one of the big differences. When we had a lot of cavalry in our other armies. Okay, you guys have routed those. And we have a victory and killed the enemy lord. Now, normally I would be really tempted to just let these guys go. But we are trying to level up a few generally rookie-ish units. And I want our cavalry to be able to do a lot more, so we're going to ride down a few of them.
Battle ready!
Oh, this could be pretty awesome if we can get up to speed in a full charge. That's taking down a pretty big number of orc boys. It's glorious combat in the name of the lady. Ride down the foul greenskins. Alright, we'll end it there. I'm having a little bit too much fun watching Bretonians ride down bad guys. We lost a fair number of troops. Most of them were peasants, so we don't really need to worry about them. Which sounds really cold and cruel. We're going to try to be nicer to the peasants than the Bretonnians and the fluff are. But we still have to use them this early on. Now, if we ransom them back, we actually lose Chivalry. We gain money, but we lose Chivalry, and since the entire goal is to get our Chivalry up, we're just going to execute the captives.
Glory awaits by the light of the Lord.
And Ryan got a hedge wizard, and I got a pit fighter. Nice. However, we are going to have to deal with a incursion next turn. So, the beautiful things for my own self, the 3 vows are very specific. Knights Errant, Knights of the Realm, and Pegasus Knights are covered by the Knight's Vow. It reduces their upkeep greatly. Questing Vow for Questing Knights. And Grail Vow for Grail Knights, Grail Guardians, Royal Pegasus Knights, and Royal Hippogriff Knights. If you don't get these as you go along, your knightly units are very, very, very expensive. And then, of course, you have Beloved Son of Bretonnia, Army of the King, Ladies Champion, Crown of Bretonnia, specific to Llewellyn and Kur. And his legendary item is the Sword of Corone. It's just awesome. It's a great sword. It causes an area hex around him. And then he can get Bequee, which is a Hippogriff. A very powerful one at that. But we are going to start off with Blade Master. Do a little bit more damage in melee. Now our settlements can be upgraded, and we're going to use that on Languille, because next turn we're going to have Greenskin Incursion anyway. Since we won that handily, let's see how our troops are doing. Not too bad. We lost a few knights, nothing major. Lost a fair number of peasants, but again, right now they are peasants, and we don't need to worry. But that's probably a good place to end it for this week, guys. If you liked the video, please consider hitting that like button. If you'd like to join up with the 232, see your name possibly pop up in this Let's Play or in any others, or to just be part of the community, just hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn your notifications on so you don't miss when a new video goes out. And remember, guys, life is a game, so play to win. And until next time, take care.